Who the is gonna understand that? Nobody. What the does that even mean?
What are the top things that make you different? Why should they do a podcast? And then why you?
This is terrible. Your ideal client and go on their podcast and attract them automatically.
For 1,000 people to see my ad, it's 20 bucks a pop. Just to see it. That's not even like lead, that's just to see it. If you get on a call, you're like, yo, I'm gonna show you everything to do. It's a one-time fee, you'll never have to pay for it again. You're gonna be getting on podcasts like crazy and you can show, I mean, dude, that's a very sexy sell.
Like, what the fuck is this, 4 minutes?
I grew up in New York City, and then after I graduated college, I went ahead and I became an officer in the Army. After I became an officer in the Army, then I started a business called Storypreneur, and what I began doing was teaching entrepreneurs how to craft, package, and deliver their message and their story in a way that would really resonate on an emotional level with their audience. And then I said, well, I've had a podcast for the past 5 years. I said, why don't I also teach people how to get on podcasts? And then really that's blossomed and transformed into actually helping individuals and business owners get on podcasts with a done-for-you service, which we provide, where we get them on top 100 podcasts. So if you're in the coaching phase, you've probably seen Tanner's ads pop up over and over and over and over and over again. And I pressed X and X and X and get off my page. But I just got so inundated with it. And then I was on a phone call with a friend of mine, you know, Tanner Chidester. And I say, yeah, I know Tanner. And he said, well, I'm thinking about joining this program. I was like, okay, I don't know much about it. I don't even know if he ended up joining. But then after that, I went to go look into it. And then I got on a call with and I said, hey, I just want you to know one thing. I'm going to be the easiest sale that you have had all day. Sure enough, I was. Joined the mastermind. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars with Tanner now, and it's been some of the best money that I've ever invested in. Definitely the best coaching program that I've ever been in, and it's just been incredible. It gives you something to aspire towards, not just the monetary aspect, but in terms of what it looks like to be a leader of an organization, but not only be there at the helm, but be in it with the people. In the military, we have something we say, lead by example, and I think that that's the perfect example right there.
What's up?
What's going on, big dog?
Oh, dude, what's up, man? I didn't know Devon was the first one. What's up, bro?
You didn't know? What's going on?
Yeah, dude, you told me last night you were coming.
Yeah.
Where'd you come from?
About 30 minutes away.
Dude, my guy, freaking helping me out left and right. Where you at? I heard you say something about your offer, so like, let's start with that. What's going on?
Yeah, so when I initially joined your mastermind about a year ago, it was all based around like storytelling and public speaking, teaching people how to do that.
Yeah.
And then over the course of a couple months, back in April, I did 22-ish, I think, 22K with that offer. And then I'll be honest, man, after I had my best month ever.
Like public speaking?
Yeah, I was teaching people public speaking, storytelling. After that, man, I really struggled with my mindset. I didn't think I could duplicate my success. I started to really doubt myself. And for about 3 months, I didn't make any money.
Interesting.
And I was really close to giving up, if I'm being quite honest. And then I kind of had a revelation. The biggest thing for me was I was teaching them how to share their story, but a lot of my clients, they would never go out and actually share it. So it was like, what the hell was the point of working with me? Mm-hmm. So that's where I am now, looking to really provide a done-for-you offer solution, getting people booked on big podcasts.
Okay.
So to kind of put a bow on it, what I really don't know what to do is how to package this.
The biggest thing with the podcast is, the biggest thing we have to do is we have to try to get it to a financial ROI. Because at the end of the day, like you're basically getting people to pay you money. And so at the end of the day, if we cannot get them to see that there's a financial ROI, it's really tough. That's what we need to focus on, because ultimately it's the same thing for like even my consulting. The reason the consulting is an easier sell is ultimately it's like, look, you need to build your business. I'm going to show you how to build your business. You pay us, you make more. Like that's the premise. So what we have to do is like, we have to be able to pitch this in a way where them making a financial ROI is either possible or it's really easy for them to understand, right? Now, if you're going to, we'll just say beginners. The biggest issue with beginners is right away is like they don't have a lot of business skills, right? So kind of the issue is like a podcast would make more sense for someone like me if it's like, hey, if I can leverage that into leads and stuff, we can close them and then that will make sense, right?
Yeah, I'm not focusing on beginners.
Okay, so that could bring new issues. We'll talk about it. But so if you don't want to focus on beginners, right? And you want to focus on like, I don't know, bigger people, right? So we'll just say bigger people. Let's say they're more established. Let's say that, I don't know, they're doing 50K a month at least or something like that. Then it's got to be something along the same premise where it's like, look, like I can get you, we'll talk about, but like I get you on X amount of podcasts, whatever, with X amount of views, or you don't pay, or you're gonna get this financial ROI, because that's what everyone's looking at, even me, right? So even me, like part of the reason I don't usually pay for certain things, I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe it'll help, maybe it won't, but I don't really know, and like I don't know if I want to pay for that because I can just run it into Facebook ads, right? So if this offer is going to work, we have to figure out what's the offer. We'll talk about that. But then the other thing is like, how are we going to get these leads? Because here's the issue. Like, let's say you're only going after bigger people. Well, that's fine, except it's got to be a really strong offer because they get pitched all the time, right? So it's got to be really good, right? It's got to be really enticing. I mean, to be frank, like if you had come to me before and you were just like, yo, dude, like I'm really good at podcasts and I'll do this. So you pay me that. Right? Because like in my head, I probably think like I can either do it myself or whatever thoughts I have. So like that's gonna be the other thing is you have to get people, you also have to show people that what you're doing they can't do on their own. Because again, if they think that, they're not gonna pay you, right? So there's that. And then the other part will be is then how are you gonna get the leads? Because one of the issues with like if you're only going after higher level people, it's how you scale it, right? So part of the reason like with ads, one of the reasons like elite CEOs exist and why we've done well is because yes, we want higher level leads, but we also cater to lower level leads, which there's more of those. Lower level meaning they don't have as much money. So if this is the direction you want to go, what we need to start with first is let's just break down the offer. So I asked you this on a call. We have more time now, which is perfect. So we need to think of like, what are the top things that make you different? We need to convince them why they need a podcast. And then it needs to be like, why you? Right. Okay. Like, why hire you? Why not do it on their own, etc. So when we're thinking of these three things, it's like, what are the top three reasons that answer these types of questions? Like, why should they do a podcast? So like, why? I'll say, why podcast? And then why you? And that's what these three things need to be about. So let's talk about that. Like, what are those reasons?
Yeah, so first, why a podcast? I mean, we could look at someone like you, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to get leads in Facebook ads. Okay. So that means getting attention, getting eyeballs on you. Yeah. So I don't know how much it costs to get 100 eyeballs with ads, but when you get on somebody's podcast, like
oh yeah, for what I pay, well, and it's like
even if you got to pay a couple of bucks,
doesn't matter.
It's nothing compared to the ad spend. So number one, it reduces maybe not the amount of money that you have to spend on ads, but you're able to get in front of substantially more people most of the time for free. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking to attract leads and to grow your business, then, I mean, why wouldn't you want to get on podcast? Because number one, you're getting in front of more people, but number two, you're getting in front of the right people.
All right, here's a question for you. Sure. So the people you've been getting me in front, can you do that for everyone or no?
Not for everybody, and I think that that's setting proper expectations up front.
Okay, so like, but what could you promise? Because like, for example, if you came to me and you're like, yo, bro, so look, like, because like this will make sense to me. It's like, look, I'm gonna get you on these podcasts, or like you don't pay, or it's like you pay me this, I will guarantee you get on these podcasts. I know like what you just said, you can't do that for everyone, but like, if there were 10 people in the room with different levels of skill, is there any type of promise we can make where it's like, hey, I can get you on at least this many podcasts, right? Like I can get you on this many downloads, do you know what I'm saying? Like that to me would be super sexy because it's like an ad agency who's like, yeah, we can run your ads. Well, what guarantee? It's like nothing. But if you're like, look, we'll run your ads, and if you don't get at least a 2x ROI, we refund you. It's like, oh, really? Yeah. So is there anything we could say on that?
Yeah, the podcast is kind of hard because you can't really see people's downloads. So you don't know how many it's actually getting. But you can see like out of 3.5 million podcasts, there's the top 5%, the top 2%, the top 1%. I mean, I have no problem. I can guarantee people get in front of like top 2% of all podcasts in the world. Now, how does that correlate
how do you
with
base
downloads?
that though? How do you base that though? So how do you know it's top 2% though?
There's just websites that tell you like based upon listening volume and downloads.
Okay.
They have
so you could guarantee they got on top 2% podcasts?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
In the world?
Yeah.
Okay. So lower lead cost. Top 2% in the world. We'll just keep listing stuff out. And then like, is there like, you don't have to tell me the site, but like, is there a site where you're like, you could say it's like, and that'll be verified by?
Yeah, you go to Listen Notes, listennotes.com. Okay. That's like the industry standard.
Okay, so you'll go, and this won't just be me saying it, this will be on Listen Notes. So you'll be able to go and see it's literally a top 1% to 2% podcast in the world. I'm gonna get you on that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Now, the question you have to answer here, right? And like a question I would have is like, okay, but why can't I do this myself? And maybe they can, but I guess the question is like, is there anything specific that you think you bring to the table that you're like, yeah, you could go try to do it on yourself, but they'll probably fail? Do you like?
Yeah, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is, do you have the time, right? You have a company, you're a CEO. I mean, do you really want to spend all your time messaging people and setting it up and coordinating?
What else?
Number 2, my Rolodex, so you don't have to spend time trying to find people to go on. I have all of the connections in my phone.
Okay. And I'm thinking of the objections you're going to get. So this here makes sense to me. If you said that to me, and it's like, well, Tanner, look, I'm going to get you on these podcasts, and how much you spend a month on ads? I'm like, I don't know, like 250, 500K. You're like, all right, cool. So check this out. Like, here's how I'd pitch it. It's like, and we'll go through your pitch, but it's like, how much does it cost you to get 2 million impressions? Let's do the math. It's $20 for 1,000 impressions. It's $20. So let's do the math. So it cost me $40,000 to get 2 million impressions.
Okay.
So Tanner, check it out. It's going to cost you $40,000 to get 2 million impressions. Now, I guess you don't know the downloads, but I guess like what's the, like, is there any way to know? I guess like that's the only thing that sucks is like, because you can't see the downloads.
Yeah.
So is there any way to guesstimate, or like does this site?
I mean, some people's like are public about it, right? And also, the thing with top podcasts is they have to they want advertisers. So if they want advertisers, that means that they have to make their information public. So what I do is I go to a lot of people and I say, hey, can you send me your sheet that you send to potential advertisers?
Yeah.
And it'll tell you like how many downloads they get per week or per month.
Okay, so like that is perfect, because then you're like, so check it out, bro. Like I could get you on this podcast. You're gonna spend $40,000 on ads to get that many impressions. I can get it for you for $3,000, whatever. It's like that makes sense to me because it's just math. So this part makes sense. This part, we got to come up with like better reasons though, because like it's like, yeah, time, but think of me, it's like, yeah, it takes time. It's like, yeah, I could just tell someone on my team to do it though. And you're like, yeah, I have the Rolodex, but it's like, yeah, but my team probably could just send a couple emails. That's what I'm thinking. So, and if that's not true, then let me know. But that's the objection you're going to get on that for sure. So you got to think like, what else, is there anything besides that? If it's not, it might not be a good enough reason, because that's like what I would think. I'm like, yeah, Devon, I mean, but I could just send them an email myself, right? Or like, for example, if you're like, hey, I could go to Listen Notes and you can see it's a top 1% to 2% podcast. So like, well, so I don't need you because I can go see what they are and I'll just reach out myself. That's what they're going to think. So we have to come up with a reason like why you, and it's got to be better than this. It's like, yeah, Rolodex, okay, time, okay, but if it, like, maybe for a beginner. So a beginner, this would work. So this is okay for a beginner. So maybe what we do is we separate it. But if we're doing this for the expert, that ain't gonna work. Cause like, I'm just like, yeah, but bro, like if I put in enough, I feel like me, if I put enough time in, yeah, I can do it. Like I could make a couple calls, I make a couple texts. Like I know people who know those people, you know what I mean? Like I could do it. It's just, I haven't done it. But is there any better reasons than this? Like why you? Like if you, like, do you have to just build the need so high, or it's gotta be for the right customer? So for example, this works for beginners. If you want to go beginner route, you're good. But if you want to go for more expert, this will not be strong enough.
Yeah, I think with the beginners, if I was to do that, I would just teach them it, right? I wouldn't do it for them. The reason being is because I honestly don't feel comfortable like saying, yeah, I can get you on 8 top 2% podcasts, but I'll teach you what you can do so you can do it yourself. The reason why I like working...
Yeah, that's fine. And that's fine. I would recommend you would teach them. I wouldn't do... I don't think you should do this for everyone. I think you should teach people. In my head... So if I'm over here, I'm thinking, hey, if I want to get on bigger podcasts, I just need to get someone on my team to send enough emails. And if they send enough emails, it will work. In your experience, do you think that's true or not?
No, I think it's, for 5 years, I was being pitched by all of these different agencies that were telling like terrible, terrible agencies in terms of how they're phrasing, getting you on, like I have this person for your podcast. And I never accepted one in 5 years. So really what I've done is I've kind of deconstructed all of the reasons what made them really bad, and I created a framework around how to reach out to people in a way that makes them more responsive and open to who it is that you want to connect with. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's really that piece of things is, yeah, you can tell someone on your team to do it, but they're not going to know what to say in a way that makes them really want to engage in the conversation.
Okay, that might be able to work. It's a little better. It's still, because like, again, you got to make me believe that though. Cause like, if you told that to me, I'd be like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, but I don't know, maybe he's full of shit.
with me.
Well, I mean, so people who want to get on podcasts, what are the reasons? Like, it's either going to be this, lower lead costs. What's the other reason?
Like you just said, you want to build their brand.
Personal brand.
That's really the people that I want to work with, because
so
they
personal
understand.
brand.
There are also people, I mean, it might sound a little corny, but in my experience, like, there are people that really know that they want to grow beyond just their industry. Right? Like, they know that they have a message that they want not only people in the coaching space to hear, but they're ready, you know, like, yeah, okay, I've made my money. Now I really want to go out and I want to impact, you know, like he's doing. Started, now he's just like, everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, so like for more experienced people, that's your biggest pitch for sure.
Yeah.
Right. So that part makes sense, because it's like, so this is the why. It's like, why should I do a podcast? Like, lower lead costs. Makes sense. The question we're not answering as well is why you? Because that's what you're gonna get, bro. You're gonna get this all day. So if we don't answer it now, you're gonna keep getting it. So it's like, okay, cool, yeah, podcast, yeah, okay, cool. But why you?
Some other things, I mean, would be customization as well. I mean, you can say, yeah, I want to go on all of these podcasts, but how do you know that they're actually the right fit for you? Sure, you can just go look on YouTube and be like, yeah, okay, I want to be on this guy's podcast, that guy's
right,
podcast.
but why would you? How do you know that?
We go out into the marketplace and look at all of the different podcasts, because let's be real, how many do you watch on YouTube? Maybe 5?
Not a lot.
There's a lot more podcasts in the world than just the 5 that you're watching on YouTube.
Okay.
So what we do is we go out and we put together the perfect list of podcasts based upon your audience, your needs, and who you're looking for.
Okay. Why would I work with you and not another podcast agency? Like, what do you do different?
Yeah, I mean, first thing is I've been doing it for about 5 years.
Okay.
And I've personally interviewed, you pretty much named the person and I've interviewed them. Right. So I already have those existing connections, so that it makes it more likely that you get the end result.
Right, because you already built the relationship.
I mean, this is part of the reason why I want to do it for free. So I say, hey, I help these people get on podcasts as well. It's like, why wouldn't, like, what do you need to see to believe? I've already done it for XYZ person.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
So
helped XYZ people, results. Okay, and then, so let's walk through your pricing. What do you want to charge?
So this is my goal. I want to have, by October of next year, $100,000 per month in monthly recurring revenue. Typically, people charge $1,500 a month up to $3,000 a month.
Okay.
I want to charge at least double that.
Okay, so you want to charge like $5K a month?
At least.
Okay, so for you to be able to charge $5K a month, like if I was going to pay you that, I'd have to see ROI more than that. And that also, remember, keep in mind, that also what I would include is if I have to pay to get on and these other guys, that factors into that money.
Yeah.
So you would have to be able to show that. Do you think you could do that?
In terms of financial ROI, or how are you measuring that
dude,
ROI?
100%.
Yeah.
No, that's all they're going to care about. The only people who are going to pay you $5K a month, they're going to already have established business. No beginner is going to pay you $5K. Beginners, you would have to do, I would agree, like beginners, you would be probably more in the like $1,000 to like $1,500 a month range, which by the way is not bad. I mean, like that's still a great business if you do that. Well, you have 2 models, by the way. You have 2 models. And like, so I also want to walk you through the 2 models. So what you're talking about is more done for you. You got done with you, you got done for you, okay? So done with you would be like a one-time fee, and then maybe you have like an ascension program, and the ascension program would probably be this, okay? This is probably what I'd do if I were you.
It's like a coaching program.
Correct. So like this is your coaching, right? So probably what you need to do is you have a coaching program for beginners where you show them. That's also more intriguing because they're more broke. Think about it. So if you get on a call and you're like, yo, I'm going to show you everything to do. It's a one-time fee. You'll never have to pay for it again. You're going to be getting on podcasts like crazy. And you can show, I mean, dude, that's a very sexy sell. So what I would recommend you do is you have 2 programs. You have like next level for us, right? We have elite CEOs and we have next level. Next level is like higher level. So I think your initial, you have a done with you and you have a done for you option. Okay. So the done with you is like the one-time fee. It's like, yo, I'll show you everything you need to do. Done for you is like, I'm going to take shit completely off your plate. That's like an agency, right? The beginners, like I would only pitch done with you. Done for you, it depends. The only thing with done for you though, bro, it's just, it's
Easier
like
to sell.
It's easier to sell, but fulfillment's a
Yeah. That's why I don't want to do it. If they're not an expert, and they don't meet these harsh parameters, because I honestly don't feel it's fair to them.
So what you need to do then is you have to vet before the call to know which one to sell. Exactly. So like what we do for like, what my guys do is before the call, we pitch based on where they're at. So if someone comes on the call and they're like, yo, I'm doing $25,000 a month, we usually are pitching next level. If they come in and they're like, yo, I'm doing less than 10, we pitch elite CEOs. So I think that's what we need to do here, because if you just do done for you, that's why you're getting fucked right now, because you're doing beginners and you're like, they fucking suck. That's what it is. Okay, perfect. So here's what you need to do. We're gonna have a done with you model, and we're gonna have a done for you model. Okay, and then you have the criteria. So like, what's the criteria for the done for you? Like, what do you need to have?
I mean, I really want them to be making at least $1 million a year.
Okay, so that means they need to be doing 100,000 a month, which is very few people. You understand that, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so this will be minority of your clients. The bulk of your clients, this is gonna be beginners, and you're gonna show them how to do it. That to me makes more sense, because then the fee you're asking for to me makes more sense, and you can charge higher. So instead of like, hey, it's 1,000 a month, you're like, yo, it's 5 to 10 grand, but I'm gonna show you everything you need to know to get on podcasts like that. That makes way more sense to me.
Okay.
What are you selling this at right now? What have you been trying to sell it at?
$5,000.
Okay, and it's been tough. Has it been tough?
I think I sold one.
I don't know how many calls though.
Tough, like 11.
Yeah, but we also need to go through your lead gen process. I think your lead gen.
Yeah, we talked about that, and it was.
Your lead gen is probably trash. Okay, so I think you could easily sell this for 5 to 10K, no problem.
Okay.
Easily, like 5K is like you. If you can't sell that, there's an issue with your process. We'll go through that. This like, if you want to sell this at 5K a month, for a guy like me to pay you that, you have to show me mathematically that for me to pay you $5,000 a month, I make more than that. Like, you have to, because if not, it's like, you got to understand, I have a lot of resources. So it's like, okay, that's a full-time team member. You have 1 or 2 angles you could take with this. This one is fine. We're going to come back to this. We'll go back to this. For this, you either have to come to a guy like me and you go, it's 5K a month, and this is how you're going to save money by paying me to do it for you. It has to be crystal clear. You either do this, where it's like you have to really show it mathematically, or you're just like, look, it probably will cost you to have someone do what I'm doing, 4 to 5K a month to pay them full time. I can do it for you for like 2K a month or 3K a month, right? So it's a lower fee, but then that might not make sense for your business, because you're not making enough money. That's the only 2 angles you got. Because for me, especially when I look at agencies for that much, that's where as soon as it gets close to 5K, my head immediately is like, I could get someone full time to do this only for me.
So yeah, I mean, with the done for you, here's where my mind goes. The more people I work with, I begin to build just these relationships with people. So in terms of fulfillment, it's not really that much.
Right.
Because I just go, hey, I got Tanner.
Right.
You want them?
Yeah.
You know, and that's really it. So it's not like it's a crazy demand on the fulfillment side. And ultimately, I'll be honest, I want to build a business I could sell, Tanner. Right. And I'm trying to think, how do I do that? Because I don't know how to do that. And I don't know if
the only way you could sell it is if you're on retainers. Like it's really hard to sell. Like the way Elite CEOs is set up right now, it'd be really hard to sell unless like I was able to remove myself from the business, or recurring. Like, because if you have people on recurring and you're like, yo, I got $100,000 a month of recurring revenue, and I've got, from 30, 40 clients, like it's easier to sell that.
But correct me, I shouldn't even be thinking there. Right, like where should my focus?
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, right now, like we just need to get making money, right?
Exactly.
Like, and once you start making money, then it's like, yeah. But I mean, I like that you're thinking long term. So here's where we're at. This definitely you could sell, but you're pitching like, I'm gonna show you everything you need to know, and then we build it around these pillars. That will definitely work. That's probably why you're struggling with these people. We'll talk about that, and then it's probably just your lead gen strategy as well. The done for you, we have to do one of these 2 things. It either can work, but just remember, like the higher, like this to me would be easier to swallow long. It just depends, because like I'm not a huge fan of agencies. Like I just don't like hiring outsourcing.
Why?
Because ultimately, like you have a ton of clients, and so it's the same thing will say is like, I would like, if you only worked for me, you're full time focusing on my. When you have a bunch of clients, you can't be full-time focusing on one person no matter how good you are, because you have 1 million clients. And so usually the quality of the service is not as good long-term. Like in the short term it is. I mean, that's the other way you could pitch this. But then it's like, again, it's not as sellable. So you could go to someone and say, yo, look, I have a 3-month program. It's $15,000, right? And I'm gonna do everything for you, but I'm also gonna show your team how to do it. And after 3 months,
I was thinking too, after reading the book.
You could pitch that. That would be more enticing to me. Like, I'd pay you for that. I'd 100% pay you for that. Like, if you were like, yo, I'll show you everything I do, but the downside, right, is then like you kind of lose the customer after a certain point. But the upside is like, that's a really sexy deal, because like if I, like, for example, if I go hire a YouTube agency, I'm going to do exactly that because ultimately I want him to do it. He works for me full time, Finalizing. So if he knows how to do it, way more valuable and it's way cheaper long term.
Yeah.
So I can help you. Like, I guess we got to decide what you want to do. If your goal is like, I want to get as much recurring revenue as possible, you can't pitch it that way because you're not going to get it. But the downside is like, it's harder to sell, in my opinion, because the way a guy like me looks at it is like, and to be honest, even what some people do if they don't tell you is like, even if you're the agency, they're going to try to see what you're doing usually so they can cut you out. I mean, that's reality. So you might just go straight to the chase like, yo, you got one of two options. You can pay me a monthly retainer, I'll just do it for you, or you can pay me this and I'll show your team how to do it. So when after 3 or 6 months, you guys can take it completely over. For a guy like me, that like I would pay you for that for sure. Because what you're doing for me right now, I like it, but like in the back of my head, there's a couple things going on. I'm like, well, first you're doing this for free. So like the rule of reciprocity, like I'm like, yo, I got to get this guy back somehow at some point. Like I can't get free shit forever. I mean, that's just reality. That's how I feel. So then it's like, okay, but like, what am I going to have to do? And like realistically, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't really want to hire you on full time unless you work for me full time, right? So to me, it's like $5K a month. That's like a full-time employee. Mm. So if the offer that I would take is if you did come to me and you're like, yo, Tanner, look, I got you on these podcasts. I'll show your whole team how to do it, and you can rip my strategy and it's this much. I'd be like, all right, I'd 100% pay you for that. No problem. Yeah. Like how long do you think it would take to teach someone's team how to do it? Like realistically, is it like a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months?
I'd say probably like a month.
Okay. So realistically, if you wanted to sell it, I would sell it as like a 3-month program, right? Because just like it's easier to build more value that way, right? So like probably what you could do is you're like, you could sell it really high ticket. You're like, yo, look, I'm gonna charge you like 15K for 3 months, right? And I'm gonna do it for you for 3 months. But at the end of the 3 months, your team will know how to do it, so you don't have to pay me anymore. You can, but like at the end of 3 months, your team will know how to do it if you want.
And that'll be for the more expert type of folks.
I mean, but you could charge this for anybody, to be frank. I think the issue you're having with the beginners is you were selling it as a done-for-you service, as an ongoing retainer, correct? No. Or what were you selling it as?
I was selling it as a coaching program where I'm going to teach you how to do it.
So you were selling it
Yeah, but everybody was just, I don't have the money.
Right, so that's an issue on your lead gen. The offer's fine on that, I think. And then probably your pillars. So, but what you could do is you could sell, I mean, you technically, if you were wanting to do this, you could do this for everyone. You could just be like, yo, I'll do it for you for 3 months. At the end of 3 months, you're going to know how to do it. Because you give them the best of both worlds. You're literally doing it for them so they can be lazy, and you're going to show them how to do it so they don't have to pay you forever, which is pretty much answers both sides of the coin. The only thing I think you need to decide is like, I don't think you really want to do this for beginners, right? You only want to do this for higher level.
Yeah.
Okay, so
right now, I mean, can I do it? Yes, but I'm the type of guy, if I do something for you, I want to do,
right.
I want to really get you good results.
So my opinion is this, is like you have both of these options, and then what you do is on the call, you don't tell them both options, you pick which option is better for them. Do you understand? Like you have to decide for them. So realistically, like if you're going after higher level people, this would be the sell I would take. Like I'm just being straight with you. If you came to me, like even after what you've done for me, if I get on these podcasts and they go well, you could easily in a couple of weeks come to me like, yo, pay me that. And I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. I'd be like, okay. And you're showing my team exactly what you're doing. So what I would probably do, and like what I think is fair to me, and dude, you could probably push this price depending, but I think like that's kind of the range I'm thinking. It's like 5K a month, it's 15K for 3-month commitment. I'll do it for you for 3 months. I don't know if that's too long. Like you tell me. Okay, so let's do the pillars. We got the done with you, which is brokies, beginners, and that would be like 5 to 10K. I would start at 5. If you start selling it a lot at 5, you can push it to 10. Okay. And then the done for you is going to be, I would start at like 15K for 3 months. Okay. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the pillars. So let's start with the done with you. So done with you. Okay. So you get on the call and you're like, cool. So pillar number 1.
I think called it infinite leads or something.
Yeah, like you could do like infinite, like
something sexy.
Yeah, whatever. So you figure that part out. So but let's say we call it the infinite faucet system. She's like, all right, so this is we're doing beginners right now. The way most people are going to tell you to get leads is referrals, right? We all know that's not a consistent way to get business. That's how you're getting business right now, right? Because again, these are the brokies. The second way they tell you to get leads is ads. The issue with ads is you got to pay a ton of money. Now, Tanner, do you know how much it costs to get 1,000 views with ads? Well, no, I have no idea. It takes $20 a pop. So let me give you an example. I can get you, and again, you'll have to describe this to the person, okay? But you need to give examples here, okay? So again, we're showing here's what most people do, here's what we do for beginners, remember? So it's like most people, and then what I do, okay? So you're gonna go, so what most people do is they do referrals, right? And referrals don't really work because it's not consistent, etc. The second thing they teach you is ads. Well, the issue with ads is it costs you 20 bucks per 1,000 impressions. So let's do the math. If you got 1 million impressions in a month and it costs you $20 per 1,000 impressions, that's $20,000 you have to spend a month to get 1 million eyeballs. So to get 1,000 eyeballs, so for 1,000 people to see my ad, it's 20 bucks a pop. Just to see it. That's not even like lead, that's just to see it. Okay. So to get on his podcast, I'm paying 10 times less. It would cost me $40,000 to get as many eyeballs as being on his podcast. Dude, that's a lot. And that's just his downloads per month. That's not over time. That's not even over time. Yeah. So it's probably even less. So do you see why that is such an important pillar?
You can't break it.
This pillar you're gonna use on both. Yeah. Okay, so this, we'll get to that, but like write down the pillars for the beginners and then you write down the pillars for other, okay? All right. So you're like, pillar number 2 is I'm gonna show you how to get on the top 1% to 2% podcasts in the world. Now here's the thing, like, yeah, you can go out and do this yourself and message people and do all this stuff, but you're not actually getting on big podcasts. So you're basically wasting your time, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the strategy on what to say, how to build the relationship, and even how to possibly get affiliate partnerships, blah, 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 okay? So it doesn't matter if you get on podcasts. It matters if you get on big podcasts. We got to get you on the big ones, right? And that's like what I'm doing now. I'm like, I got to get on some big podcasts because what happened with all these small ones? No one watches them. So who gives a shit? I never understood that. I was like, why do people want to get on the big ones? And I'm like, they don't say, because people watch them. Duh. So you'd be like, David versus Goliath, we got to get you on the top 1% to 2% podcasts in the world. So look, you can go out there and message people and email and waste a bunch of time. I'm going to show you exactly what to say, how to build the relationship, and not only that, how to possibly build an affiliate partnership so you can get even more traffic without spending a dime on ads. So you're going to be infinitely more profitable. Like that's kind of what I would take there. And then right here, you're like, the last one is like, what I do in mine is I call it process. Yeah. Okay, you can call it whatever you want, but you're like, look, the last thing is like, why work with me, right? So because think of it, this is the strategy, this is the strategy, 2 strategies. These are like why they should do a podcast. This is why you, okay? So then you're like, look, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've interviewed every big podcast in the world. I have all the relationships. These other agencies, like I said before, they're just gonna get you and get you on a bunch of, like I'm gonna get you on the real one. And I've helped Tanner, Chidester, this guy, da-da-da. That's your pitch, bro. Yeah. Like this will work, okay? If you get the right people, we'll go through your messaging after this because your messaging or something's wrong. Because this is a good pitch. This is a good pitch if you pitch it this way. I just I've never had someone pitch, like everyone who talks to me about podcasts, I'm like, bro, it's just like, it's bullshit. Like it's bullshit. Like I don't believe you, right? And then I've been so good at ads. Yeah. Okay. And then inside the coaching, the only business stuff you're gonna be doing is like you show them how to message. You just need to show the process. So, right, if your process is like in your coaching, you're like, all right, here's the emails you're going to send. Here's how you respond back. You show them that A to Z, show them the whole thing, messaging, sales, show them the whole process, right? You're showing them how to convert leads from podcasts, period, okay? So for you, that shouldn't be too difficult, but you're like, okay, when you're on the podcast, when they ask you at the end, like what I did yesterday, tell me if I'm wrong, but the guy was like, hey, where do you want people to go? I was like, yeah, tell them to email or tell them to DM me the work to my IG at tanner.chidester, and then we'll start a conversation from there. That's what I said. Yeah. Okay, that's like, and then you'd be like, hey, when they come in here, and then show someone who DM'd you or me or a client and like, here's what you say, okay? And like you show them that process, okay? Now, for the done for you, this part, yeah, all we're gonna do here is, I don't even think we need to change anything. I think the only thing we're gonna do is you're gonna add anything about the team? Like we talked about? Yeah, we're basically just gonna add the team and we're gonna go like, and then maybe you would change the name on this because David and Goliath maybe doesn't make as much sense, but you're like, I'm going to show you how to get on top podcasts, but not only that, I'm going to show your team how to do it. So in 3 months, your team's going to be able to take this over. You don't have to pay me forever unless you want to. And that, because that, if you bring that to a guy like me, that's way more advantageous. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, definitely. Because you're not dependent.
I would pay you for that 100%. Like, I'm happy to even set that up with you after this. Like, I would 100%. If you could show my team A to Z what you're doing, and you could document it for us, 100%.
Yeah.
Because then what can happen is I have him and I have my other girl can do it. She can do it. And then I don't have to fucking deal with it. And then she can keep doing it forever. Because it's not like it's an ongoing thing. It doesn't end, right? Like, you keep doing it, right? Like, am I wrong?
No, absolutely.
Okay, so like, because I'm assuming like if I paid you on a retainer every month, I'd be expecting bookings, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an ongoing thing. So what I would recommend you say, like, it doesn't matter what you say here, but you're like, I'd be like, client infiltration, maybe. Maybe you're like client infiltration. I don't know. Or like you'd be like ambush attack or so. I don't know. But the point, maybe this works. And I'd be like, so pillar number 2 is what I like to call client infiltration. So here's the cool part. What typically happens is an agency, when you talk to them, a podcast agency, they want to keep you on retainers for forever. Why? Because they want to make you dependent on them. So here's what I'm going to do. Not only am I going to show you, not only am I going to get you booked, let me back it up. Not only am I going to get you booked on top 1% to 2% podcasts in the world that we can verify by going to listenrules.com, okay? But at the end of my program, I will show you and your entire team how the process works so that you can fire me if you want to. And the reason I do that is I know that's what's in your best interest. If you want to keep hiring me as a consultant, great, but your team will know the entire process A to Z. Because that's more valuable to me because you're not hiding it from me. You're like if you come to me, you're like, yo, Tanner, are you getting on think about it. Tanner, are you getting on podcasts you want? No, think about our conversation. No? You're like, well, I'll do it for you. I was like, but what do you want to charge me? You're like, well, I'll do it for free. I was like, all right. But if you tried to charge me, I'm like, probably not. And then you're like, well, dude, not only, like, look, like, because if you really had to, you can even go to people and you're like, dude, you can even get on a call with somebody like, yo, look, if I get you on these 3 podcasts, it's in our agreement. I get you on these 3 podcasts, then you have to agree to pay me $15K, and then I'll show you the process. Like, you could like probably even go to people and like get on the call. Like, you don't have to pay me anything today. I just need you to sign the agreement and give me a credit card for $1. And then if I get you on these 3 podcasts, I'm allowed to run your card legally. And then here you do the same thing. You're like, and the reason you want to hire me is I've been doing this for 5 years. I have all the personal relationships. Like I said, I'm willing to fire myself. Okay. Like, so I'm not trying to keep you on my tit for forever and da-da-da. And that, dude, is like way better pitch. Yeah. And then if you want, in here, you would just add that part about, I'll get you your first free clients for free or whatever. You're like, and just say like, I will get you on 3 top 1% podcasts that you agree to. And once you do that, you have to pay me or something. Like that would be, you don't have to do that, by the way. Like, I'm not saying you have to do that.
But that just shows them the value.
But yeah, it's like, well, because like if someone, like if I saw your ad and I clicked on it and I got on a call, like I know I'm gonna have to pay you something. But if you were like really trying to go organic with it and like take it home, you could easily go to a guy like me. Like I guarantee if you went to like some of my buddies, you could easily be like, yo, who's some of your boys? And I'm like, yeah, hit this guy up. And what would I tell him? I'm like, yo, this guy, he's really good. He'll get you on podcasts, your first 3 podcasts for free, and then you just have to pay him if he does it. Are you interested in that? And I would be like, these are the ones I've been on.
I guess when I go to DMs or message, send an email, how do I frame this in a way that I get Tanner to respond or to say, yeah.
So what I would do first is you get a couple free people.
Yep.
Okay. Then when you send it, you get permission from those people to mention them in emails. Okay. And you're like, yo, do I have your permission? And that can be part of your thing. You're like, yo, I'll get you on all these podcasts for free. But in return, I just ask that you let me mention you in emails to clients that I did work for you. Because like, for example, if you drop my name in emails, I 100% guarantee you'll get clients from that. Because they'll go, you helped Tanner? And then they're going to hit me up and I go, yeah, he's legit. That's way more powerful than anything else you could do. Yeah. So that's what I would do for the free people. And then when you send the email, you just explain what you said. So look, to build trust, I'll get you on these free ones for free. And if you want to verify I'm legit, I did it for all these guys. That I would respond to that for sure. And then the headline would be like, I'll get you on top 1% podcast for free. Or you say like, I'll get you on 3 top 1% podcasts for free.
Okay, yeah.
But I think also in the email you would need to bring this up, because that's the other thing. I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about podcasts, but you'd be like, this is why it matters, because you're like, you get the same amount of views for 10 times less. Because if that point's not clear in the email, I wouldn't do it, because I'm like, yeah, but I don't care, dude. Like, this guy's trying to sell me some.
Yeah. Okay.
So are you good on this part?
Yeah, it makes a lot
So
of
that's
sense.
your offer. You're all done.
Makes a lot
Okay,
of
so you got what you came for. Okay, so now what we need to do, I want to see your messages, because probably what's happening is you're not setting the stage properly. So my guess, Devon, is like, I've listened to you. You're not weird, so that's good. But if you're taking that many calls and you're not closing, you're probably getting on calls with people you shouldn't be getting on calls with. So the first thing is, every time you send a message, this isn't bad because she responded, but you always want to say like, hey, freaking love your cover photo, send. Hope that's not weird to say, LOL. Like, because it's kind of like, to me, this is kind of like, I'm initially going to be like, what does this guy want?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you say like, hope that's not weird to say, you're like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. It just opens people up. She's like, thanks, Devon. That's so nice to hear. You're like, you're welcome. I can just tell through your photos and content how genuine you are. Send, ask a question. Okay. You always want to ask questions, because like when you say statements, I don't know, like it doesn't go anywhere. So then you might be like, yeah, so like I was like, what do you do in your business, or whatever question you want to lead with. Okay. So this says, thank you. You seem to be down to earth and successful. Let's see what you say.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much for saying those kind words. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, it means a lot to me. But listen, I'm doing some market research. Just came to me that I should ask you this question. But anyways, I specifically focus on speaking and storytelling. And I was just curious, in terms of speaking or storytelling, what do you feel like is your greatest challenge or area where you want to improve the most? Like,
Yes, that's super pitchy.
Okay.
Super pitchy. So what I would have done instead is I would have said, you're welcome. I can just filter your photos and content how genuine you are. Like how's business going this year? And then like you start turning the conversation to her business. The reason she left you on red is like, that is super pitchy. Like she knows, I know exactly what you're doing there.
Yeah.
Then you said you left me on red, good follow up. And then you said
is like-
this.
this is like
Devon
2
Rodriguez here. I just saw your comment
months.
on
This is
my
August,
Facebook post about you would love to get on 20 podcasts within 90 days. So hey, listen, I'm going to tell you about something that I'm doing. Just let me know if you're interested in it, really, because the only reason I'm reaching out is because maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. You'll be able to kind of tell me that after you hear what I have to say. But anyways, what I'm doing is I'm running a beta group of 5 serious entrepreneurs who are looking to expand their audience by leveraging other people's audiences. And I'm really looking for 5 people that don't really want to post on social media every day, just hoping to attract their ideal client. They would rather work smarter and borrow and leverage
the
other
good
people's
news is
audiences
this
who
is
already have
terrible.
their ideal client and go on their podcast
Guys, it's
and attract
terrible.
them automatically because of how wonderful they were on their podcast. So what we're doing is over the course of 90 days, we're engineering a process where you
The thing is, like, you're just getting straight to the juice.
Right.
And she's like,
But what if it came from like a 2-step?
yeah.
So-
So if this is from a 2-step, but like up here, like that's
Yeah,
why
that
she
was-
left you
that
on
was
red.
trash.
It's super trash.
Yeah.
This is okay if it's a 2-step,
Yeah.
but that's the only time it's okay, because like she gave you permission, right? You didn't get permission before, so
at
we'll
least
finish
20
this.
podcast interviews booked on top-rated podcasts, meaning that these are not people who are brand new, just getting started, etc. So within 90 days, at least 20 shows. And what we do for you is not only are we going to teach you how to find the shows, get on them, find the host information. It's kind of broken down into a couple different steps. But the biggest thing for us is that we're doing all of the heavy lifting for you. And getting into podcast, biggest thing is, okay, what podcast do I get on? Like, I'm looking at your comment right now. You said, do you have any recommendations on podcast hosts with successful business owners' audience, etc., etc. So what we do is we provide you with a comprehensive list of over 100 podcasts for you to get on based upon your niche, your audience, your target market, and exactly who you're trying to serve. We give you the podcast, we give you all of the host information to include your email and all of their social media, as well as descriptions to each of those podcasts so that you know exactly what each one is talking about without going to every platform and reading them yourself. We give it to you all in a comprehensive space. So after we do that, we teach you how to pitch. The biggest thing though is we teach you how to perform. And that's where the storytelling training comes into play. And that's been my business for the past 2.5 years, where we've done multiple 6 figures, just kind of like teach people that. And then ultimately how to profit from the podcast. So listen, don't know if this is for you, but I wanted to at least...
Hey, Devon, it definitely sounds interesting. Is it a requirement that we not post every day? Because I kind of like posting every day, and I have a whole system set up for that. But I really, really, really am interested in leveraging other people's audiences. That would be super cool. So I am interested. I guess I'm curious as to the cost, but everything else, I think it would be great. I'm in and out of town in September, so I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem. My daughter's getting married.
And this came from a 2-step, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
When you
So the
said
2-step's great,
and I'm
but
speaking
the
at a
initial...
conference.
And I get a lot of
So I'll
traction
be at a
from my
conference for once a week
2-steps.
during September.
A lot.
So I just want to make sure
Great,
that,
then
that I can give you all my time.
great.
I'm definitely interested, and talking would be great.
Hey, no, absolutely. I love posting on here too, Facebook at least. But I know, like for me, for example, like
Bleep.
Instagram Reels and stuff, taking super long time to do. Don't really enjoy them all that much. Don't have much of an ROI on them. So no, of course, you post as much as you want. So that's kind of like regardless of the point. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, really, especially because you got a lot going on. Like I said, what I really prefer to do, and this is where we jump into pricing and so forth, is if I even feel like it's something right for you. Because to be honest, like I don't want to tell you a price and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm in, and then you join it and then it's not like aligned. If that makes sense. Me, my business, I'm all into like alignment and making sure that what I'm doing is right with you. So like if I imagine like I were a doctor, I wouldn't want to prescribe you something without first diagnosing it. Right?
That's fine.
And in a similar way, I want to like say, hey, this is how much it is, and just give you a solution if that might not be the solution for you.
Okay, so then you pick this. So let's see what you got here. Okay, so we got a 60-minute slot. Let's say we got a call today. Continue.
There's nothing on there.
Yeah, that's...
So
there you go.
So yeah, last time we had spoken, you said application.
Yep.
Okay. And then she ended up hitting me with I think it was a price objection.
Right, and then the thing is like, you explain this to her as like, remember, it's like, so look, well, it's a price thing. It's like, yeah, but like, here's the thing. This is going to get you more clients, right? Isn't that the whole point of getting on the podcast? Because it gets you more clients. Like, that's what people are like, well, Tanner, I don't have money to pay you. It's like, yeah, because you don't know how to make money. Isn't that the whole point? You're here? So like, that's an objection issue, but you should have had an application before to vet that out, because maybe like, what, so like how much money, like what did you pitch her at? What price?
I think it's 5,000.
And she said she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like you need to have something on there that's like, and you could go from rigorous to less rigorous, but like, let me give you an example. Like, it depends how stringent you want to be. Usually when you're running ads, you could be a little bit more aggressive because you're getting more volume. When you're doing this, it's going to be less, but you want to be like, you know, are you able to invest in yourself? Or you can say like, how much revenue does your business make a month? So if her business is
I could
like,
pull up the questionnaire that I do use now. I could pull it up on
yeah,
my phone even.
we'll set, yeah, what is it? Open this. Okay, let me do as best I can. Okay, start. All right, so we'll just do test. Okay. Oh, I want to put my real number. Okay. So that's fine. Perfect. Well, why is he being on podcast? Yeah, I mean that's fine. Because again, you're trying to see if they commit. Have you ever with the coach before? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't ask that. I would just be like, I don't really like the 1 to 10 question. I would take it off. I wouldn't leave. Do you have to have this? So why is this multiple choice? Let me ask you that.
I don't know.
You want as few multiple choice as possible. The reason my team has multiple choice on some of them is because we get a lot of applications, and so it helps them vet it better.
Okay.
But you don't need, like, multiple choice is worse, actually, just so
Okay.
you know that. So what I would do is you say, instead of asking how much they can invest, it's better to ask, like, how much profit do you make a month from your income, or like how much, you get what I'm saying? Because like what you really care about is like how much money they make. It's not how much, because this question they just might put like, well, I only want to pay. They usually put the low numbers because that's all they want to spend. So instead, you find out how much money they make, and so if they give you an objection, like, well, dude, you said your business makes $5,000 a month, right? Okay, so why can't you invest $5,000 if you make that in a month?
So frame the question in terms
Yeah,
of how much
but
you're
leave it
making a month.
open-ended. You also will get better answers leaving it open-ended. You'll get people like, about this much. You'll be like, I don't really know. And then it's like, hey, so I saw in the application you said you didn't really know. Like, can you give me more context? Because like, why? I don't want to waste my time on like,
That's
if
been the
you're
biggest thing, though.
if you're getting on calls and it's not to practice, then what should you be doing if you're not on calls?
You want to make sure that the people that are on the calls are the right fit.
No. But like, let's
sorry,
say someone fills out the application and it's a answer,
Yeah.
and then you follow up and it's a answer.
You're not going to get.
If you're not going to get on the call just to practice, then there's no point in taking the call. Cancel that. Spend an hour messaging better prospects to get on a call. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, what's your email? For some reason, Facebook. Okay, so this is a 2-step again.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
I guess
Okay.
maybe,
Good. So far, so good. Good.
should maybe try to find you one that's not a 2-step.
Okay. My business is prosperity first. I'm a fractional CFO. My book forever is good. Like, this stuff is so fluffy to me. Like, you even see why this person might be struggling. Like, my zone of genius is bridging the soul and the science of money. Like, who the fuck is going to understand that?
Yeah.
Nobody. What the fuck does that even mean? Right? This is my 28th year in business. It's like, bro, if this is your 28th year in business, like, what the fuck? Okay. Now, this was good. That's super cool. Okay, got it. And then you ask another question. You're like, cool. Okay, so she loves that. But then the next thing is like accurate. And then I would ask the next question. What's your biggest struggle? Because like you're just basically confirming what she said. It's like, so like, yeah, confirm. Hey, so this is what you want. Now, what's your biggest, what's your struggle? Because she said she wants clients. Okay, so let's see what you say.
All right, let me get this out of the way. How exactly do I pronounce your name? Because I'm going to butcher it. And I don't want to do that to you. So before I say anything else, please tell me how to properly pronounce your name so I can give you that.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do this, by the way.
You're killing it. Congratulations.
I don't think you need to do this, by the way. Like, you're actually wasting more time. Like, that. You remember when I told you to stop sending me voice notes? You know why? Because I have to literally stop everything I'm doing to answer your voice note. Right. Versus, like, I could literally be on a sales call and I can pull your shit up and I can type back. I mean, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, 4 minute voice note. Like, bro, like this is so inefficient. Like, just say, what are you struggling with? She's like, this. What do you tried? That. And they're like, well, cool. Look, I don't know if you're open to it, but like, obviously you got the 2-step. But if you want, I'm happy to set up a call to see if like there's something I can do to help you. Yeah, great. Here's my application. Fill it out. Like this 4 minute. Like, what the fuck is this? 4 minutes? Okay, and then she finally agrees to a call. And then what happened? She didn't buy.
She didn't buy. She just said
Okay.
she didn't have money.
Let's go through your structure, how to do messages, bro. It's very simple. Okay, so like typically all you're doing is you're like rapport. Okay, so it's like, hey, first name, love, what, you're doing with ABC, send, hope that's not weird to say, right? And they're like, oh, thanks, Devon. So nice of you. You're like, yeah, for sure. You're like, yeah, for sure. What does your business do? Or you're like, what does your business do? Or you could say, yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I'm just gonna type it underneath of like what you could say next. You're like, yeah, for sure. Like, how's biz going this year? Right? And they're like, oh, it's doing whatever. You're like, cool. What's your goal? Like, dude, it's always the same framework.
So
and
you
then
just
they're like,
go,
yeah,
I try
like,
to massage it
what's-
and try to be too suave.
yeah, but you take them forever, and then
That's been my biggest problem.
yeah.
is that
So,
just
so
taking
remember
forever.
what I was trying to tell you guys on the call. It's all about being efficient as well. So you're super inefficient. Well, how are you inefficient? You can send all these voice notes and
Mhm.
what the fuck? Like you're wasting all that. Like, bro, you can spend 4 minutes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you struggle? What have you tried? Okay. Have you ever had a coach? Or like, and you may or may not need to ask all these. You just like, what's your goal? Well, I'm trying to do this in my business. Like, what are you struggling with? What have you tried? And it's like, okay, and like what you might say is like, have you ever thought of, doing podcasts to get, 10x cheaper leads? Right? Because that's really the thing you need to start telling people. Like, why the problem is like you're not pitching podcasts properly. Like the way you need to pitch it is they're gonna get 10 times cheaper leads. And it's easier. And it's like you get 10 times cheaper leads without complicated tech. I mean, like my tagline, if I was you, is like, I show people how to get leads 10 times cheaper and without funnels or something. And they're like, yo, what the fuck is that? And then they come in, you're like, yo, it's top podcast, bro. It's like top 1% podcast.
So lead with like that curiosity.
Yeah. So have you ever thought of doing podcasts to get 10 times cheaper leads without leads? It's wild. Most people have, like don't know how. That's like, yeah, I am. It's like, cool. Like, well, cool. I do stuff all day long. Would a call be worth it to see I can help you or no? Like you'd be like, no pressure. But this is my zone of genius or whatever. Like you don't have to do 2-step calls with business. They know, like they kind of know what's going on, bro. They own a business, so they know like they get on a call, you're gonna sell them. Like all your shit is like way too dragged out. You're like, oh, cool, that's a cool name. It's like I'm curious, like what's your goal with this? And the reason I'm asking is like you just be more straight to the point.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you need a better application because it looks to me like you're not weird. You're a good looking guy. You speak well. You're getting people to book, but if you're booking a bunch of brokies, I've listened to a couple of your sales calls. Your calls seem decent. They're not horrible, but you can't book people who have absolutely zero money. And keep in mind, a lot of people who do 2-steps and like that, they're broke. So you might just need to outreach people more.
Okay.
Right? You might need to go on IG hashtags, right? And like, I don't know if you've seen some of my trainings or like my YouTubes, but you need to do that. Or you need to do that, the Facebook thing. And then the thing is too, is if like you're going to, if it's a beginner, you're going to do more of this. If it's a higher level guy like me, you just go straight to it. You're like, and like what I would do is like comment on a post about, yo, Tanner, I sent you a quick DM. Let me know if you're interested. And like, I would just go straight to it. Like, yo, dude, I would say something like, let's say you're pitching me and be like, yo, this is going to be long, but don't want to bother you. So here's all the details. On top, 1% podcast for free. 10x cheaper leads, like something like that, and then send it, and then like immediately copy and paste your next message. That's like, all right, so here's how it works, and then just like hit them with it, because like the more experienced guys like me, like I'm not gonna be going back and forth with some, like I'm just not. I'm like, if you start doing this to me, I'm gonna be like, bro, like Probably not. But like if I was reaching out like on Seagal and stuff like that, I would just text him like, yo, dude, sorry to bother you. Here's what's going on. Let me know if you're down.
Got a lot more than what I had come for. I'll tell you that much. Initially, I just wanted my offer structured, which we got that done probably within the first hour. And then we really spent the most of the time dialing into my messaging and just going into a bunch of things that sometimes one of my mentors always used to say, you can't read the label when you're in the box. So this experience with Tanner was just having like the eagle in the sky, being able to look down and be like, okay, you're not doing this, tweak this. And it was just a really good experience because it got me to look at things from a completely different perspective. So we got my offer structured, my messaging dialed in, and really, I mean, the only thing left is for me to take action on it. So it was incredible, some of the best 2 hours I've spent in a long, long, long time. I'll tell you this much. I know in order to work with Tanner one-on-one, it's very expensive. But what I can also tell you is that the amount of effort that he just poured into helping me felt like invaluable. So this was everything and more that I could have ever expected or wanted. And I think the thing that really makes Tanner special is his intuition. So his ability to just ask a couple of questions and then give you what you need. So he works with you, asks the right questions, and it's not like one of these things, you know how it is, when somebody asks, you know, this thing is free, what's the big catch? The best thing is there is no catch. Genuinely just pouring out for 2 hours into you and you gave me exactly what I needed to go to the next level. So man, was it what I expected? Far surpassed what I could have ever expected. I think the biggest thing is starting with what I have. One of the things I asked Tanner was, Tanner, how do I know if this is super connected to my big purpose? He said, why are you worrying about your purpose when you just have to focus on where you are right now? So I think just using what I have. I told you earlier, I'm gonna be getting out of the military in 11 months. I can't be worrying about my big purpose. I need to be worrying about, I need to accomplish this right now in order to get to my big purpose in the future. So I think that that's the first thing. And then number two, I think honestly, messaging. Really just sending out a lot of messages and being a lot more efficient with my time. I think that that was the biggest thing that I took away from today besides my offer creation was, all right, dude, you got to start using your time a whole lot more efficiently, especially because you got a full-time job. So I'll be getting to work on those things for sure. Tanner, you're the GOAT. I've spent probably 70 grand in the past year or 2 years. And man, the level of dedication, support, and love that you give to all of us that are your clients or not your client, because pretty sure that probably the next person that comes in here is not gonna be a client, but you're gonna give them everything and more, says just about who you are as an individual, and just being able to watch you grow as I grow has been impeccable. So you are a mentor for those that are younger, those that are older, and I'm just forever grateful to be in your circle and for you to give me the opportunities that you've given me. So I appreciate you, brother. You're a legend. All right, man. Thank you.